your use. So we are very happy to open this training, one of the series that we have, a monthly one every month for you to empower and to strengthen your holy work at the school, organization, synagogue across America. And today we have the privilege to work with Dr. Simcha Leibovich, and in a second I will ask my colleague Stephanie to introduce Dr. Simcha Leibovich, and let's start from there. Also, I want to take the opportunity to just let you know that everything is going to be recorded, as well as following by resource for you for any kind of work connecting to Israel and about Jewish identity that you can find at Keren Kayemet Israel website, or at Jewish National Fund USA website as Herzl. So we will send you the following link by the following email later. So you are more than welcome to use our materials. Our materials is free of charge for your use anytime, and any place. You can use them and download them. So now let me turn over my amazing colleague Stephanie, that we are working together here in United States, and let's start the training. Stephanie, the stage.
Sure. Thank you, Zohar, and thank you everyone for joining. We're so excited to have Dr. Simcha Leibovich here once again with us. I'm just going to do a brief, or what I consider somewhat brief, introduction.
Make it very brief, okay? I think that
I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Okay.
So Dr. Simcha Leibovich has done a lot of work. He's the consultant to Leadership Development Center of the Universidad Hebraica in Mexico. He's a consultant to Chabad Leadership Development Program, the founder of Elite Experiential Leadership Training, founder and director of the World Leadership Center, Mount Herzl, head of the Shlichim of the World Zionist Organization in North America, founder and director of the Outdoor Center for Leadership at Ne'ot Keduvim, the Biblical Landscape Reserve, dean of experimental education at Orot Academic College for Education, co-editor of the Encyclopedia for Social Educational Activities, an advisor to leadership development programs in the IDF and Israeli security forces, an organizational consultant to government ministries and private firms in Israel, and a consultant of program and leadership development at Ramah camps. That was a mouthful. So Simcha, we're so excited to have you join us today. The floor is yours.
Okay. I decided to share with you some thoughts about the way we have an impact or influence on others. So, if you know me, I come from the informal education, and everything is with exercise. So please close your eyes for a minute, okay? Close your eyes like me, and you are not going to fall asleep, even me, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning in Israel. So I want you to invite to our session someone who was really meaningful on your development, whether it was professional development or personal development or ideological development. Someone who really left a mark on you. It was really meaningful to you. If it's possible, don't bring your parents. If it's possible, someone who really was meaningful to you, or still is in your development. Whenever this person comes in, please open your eyes. Okay, you have him? Okay. Do we have him? Everyone have him? As someone? I know for some of you, it wasn't so easy because they might have two. Some of them might not find anyone, and I will explain later why it happens. Now, whatever I'm going to do with you now, guys, is based on a research which I'm going to share with you in a few moments. It's not, I'm not Uri Geller, not telekinesis. I never met this person before you, and you never told me. But I know 4 things about this person. If I will now share with you 4 characteristics of this person. If it's true in your case, raise your hand. Now, my assumption is that at least 2 of the 4 will appear in your person. Okay? Is it clear? Okay. The first thing I want to say about, can I see all of them, Stephanie? So to see, because I want to see people who will raise their hands. Okay. The first thing I want to say about this person is that he really gave you the impression that he cares about you and you are important to him. If it's true, please raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay. I don't see all of them, but I hope that we'll see in the end. Okay. Oh, you raise your hand, Julia. You give us a sign. The second thing I want to say about this person, it wasn't always easy on you. He demanded, he challenged you, whether it was intellectually or physically, or he really, really pushed you. If it's true, please raise your hand in your case. Thank you, Tiki. Ilan, thank you. The third thing I want to say about this person, we call it a role model. You see, where you really believed that he stands up to the values and to whatever he teaches you. He is really honest, and he himself, he doesn't tell you things that he's not doing himself, like a role model. If it's true, please raise your hand. You trusted him and you believed him. Good. And the fourth thing, we call it inspiration and motivation, which is this person spoke with you about the future. He shared with you expectation from you. He really believed in your abilities to go on. If it's true, raise your hand. Okay. How many of you had at least 2? Or most of you. How many? You have all the 4. Good. So most of the people, and I do this exercise all over the world, trust me. Not just in America and Israel, I did it in Ukraine. I worked almost 2 years in Ukraine, up in Mexico, all over the world, with Jews, non-Jews. This is unbelievable. So I want to ask you a question, and please share with me. You had so many people who tried to have an impact in you. Why did you choose this person? Why did he come up very quickly to your mind rather than other? What was special in this person that you chose him? If you're ready, please share with us. Who wants to share with me, please? Let's honor them tonight, okay? Because most of the people don't tell them. You know, from my experience, you are sure that they know that they have a big impact on you, but most of you, as far as I believe, never told them. And if you still have a chance and is around this person, tell him. But most of the people don't tell because they are sure that they know. So let's at least honor them now. Who wants to share with us and to tell me why he chose this specific person?
Because he taught me something that I would not have learned anywhere or any time, other time, except with him.
So what was special about him? I mean, can you describe a little? It was a teacher?
He was a teacher. He was a teacher of mine in elementary, middle school. He taught us how to read and write Yiddish, and taught us Yiddish songs. And he really invested a lot of time, personal time, and school time in each and every one of the students in the class. He did not have children of his own, and maybe this was the impetus for him to really connect with our class. But some of my classmates, as well as myself, still remember the impact he made on us.
So his power was by special personal attention. He gave you feelings that you are important to him.
Yes.
He was, okay. Thank you, Toby.
Every single one of us got personal attention. He made sure that we were able, that we were getting everything that he tried to teach us. He checked and made sure that we could write well, and it made a big impact.
Good. So did you have a chance to thank him?
Yes, when we were young, but unfortunately he moved away to Canada, to Toronto. I live in Michigan. I grew up here in suburban Detroit, and he moved to Toronto. I really don't even know if he's still alive today. He probably is not. But many people from this city remember him fondly.
Can you give us his name?
Yes, his name was Rabbi Hochler.
Okay. So wonderful. Do anyone else wants to bring someone who wasn't a teacher? Now, do you have any other example?
Yeah, we have one raising her hand. Sumiko?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi. Yes. So that person for me, it was a Hazan that served my community for 4 years. My home Jewish community is Cuba. So it's a small and vibrant community, but we don't have a rabbi, we don't have a Hazan. So our community was really supported by Hazanim or rabbis coming from the outside, serving us for very short periods of time. And when this Hazan arrived to our community, he was a source of inspiration for me. He taught me 2 Hebrew words that I will never forget and that I apply to my life every day, that it is neshama and kavanah. And he always says, when you come to the synagogue, when you're going to sing, when you're going everywhere, try to find your soul. But more than that, when you do something, do it with intention. And just when you find in connection with your soul and you do something with intention, then it's going to have an impact on you. He taught me how to read the Torah. He gave me that spiritual feeling about having a Kabbalah Shabbat without feeling that I was being so religious or not, because I am not. But he taught me all those spiritual things about Judaism that I have carried with me everywhere, to Israel, to Miami. Everywhere I go, I carry that beautiful bag with me.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, the way you present it is exciting. I feel like you still live it. You're still there. Did you have a chance to tell him that?
100 times.
Oh, good.
Thanks God.
Okay, wonderful. So this person, as you said, he pushed you, he challenged you, and he inspired you. Okay. Okay, so you understand. Now, what I would like to do now is to tell you 2 examples, because we don't have enough time. Our time is limited, but I give you 2 examples that will make it so clear and give you a full picture. I give you 1 example. I worked with the Israeli army, and we had to research who is a good commander, who is a good lieutenant. So we did it in a very famous way by interviewing. Some of us interviewed high officers, and some of them average officers, and my job was we 3 or 4 of us psychologists, we went to interview soldiers. And listen to this story. A soldier in a unit, it's called Golani. It's like, I guess it's like the Marines. Most of the soldiers come from all over Israel. I mean, it's not like a unit, elite units that you have to volunteer, but it's a good unit, a very, very good unit. So I went to interview and I asked the commander to give me some soldiers who are in the end, you know, they serve 3 years, those who are more than 2.5 years because they have experience. So one soldier tells me this story. Listen, in the end of the basic training, we have a long massage journey. We have to walk with all our equipment. It's about 52 kilos. With the gun and everything on the back, and we have to walk about 60 miles. Well, maybe it's 55 miles, 80 kilometers, I guess. And it was a hot day like it can be in Israel. And after 5 kilometers or 3.5 miles, something like that, I felt this is the end of the world. I felt that I don't want to go on, and I didn't know what to do. And I looked around, and everyone was so concentrated in himself. He didn't see what's going around. So I decided to sneak away. I find a hill, and I decided to be behind the hill. No one will know, because I knew the driver of the track who brings the food. He told me that he's going to follow us in the same track. I said, I will wait for him. When he will come, I'll jump on the track, and I'll come to the end of because everyone is expecting the food. It's a great idea. He thought it's smart, you know. And then, and I was sure no one saw me. And then 2 soldiers, and he points, you see, these 2, I don't want to use the word that he used because I respect you. So these 2 came to me and they said, listen, you have to go back to the line, to the unit. If you don't come back to the unit, the sergeant told us, we're going to carry you on stretches, you know, alunka. If you're a soldier in Golani, in such a case, you don't want to be up there because your friends are going to kill you with the guns. You might be really wounded in the end because you know you're cheating, you know. It's so hard to go without you and to carry you. I was so quick. I was so upset and nervous and furious. I took my gun and I said, if you don't move from here, I'm going to shoot you. I didn't know what I'm doing. So they were afraid and they ran away. And I hear them screaming to the sergeant, leave him alone. Let him die. We don't need him. He's not our friend. We don't need him in this unit. How can you explain such a situation that he points his gun on us? After a minute, the sergeant comes and he says, listen, if you're not coming in 30 seconds back to the line, I'm going to leave you in Pesach in the base. You're not going out Pesach. It's a very important holiday in Israel, but this is not the reason why soldiers are afraid to stay there. You know what? Soldiers are afraid to stay in Pesach because they have to clean the base. And they have pots like that, and the rabbis, the religious sergeant will kill you. So you have to clean up. So I said, I don't care. Leave me in Pesach, in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. I don't want to, I'm not going in this journey. Leave me alone. So he couldn't believe. A soldier, a simple soldier at the beginning of the army, the basic training, speaks back so badly to a sergeant. Sergeant's like God. He said, I'll put you in jail. I don't care. I'll kick you out of the unit of Golan. He said, wonderful. I don't want to be in Golan. He didn't know what to do. He was so shocked, so he left. And then the officer came. Now we have to understand, Israeli lieutenant can be 6-7 months older than a soldier, maybe a year. He's also 19, maximum 19 and a half, even not 20. So he comes and he sits next to me. And I became nervous. I didn't know why he's sitting next to me. And I was smoking, and he asked me for a cigarette. I gave him a cigarette, and he asked fire. I lighted a cigarette, and he smokes. He doesn't talk. And then I became so nervous. I said, "Sir, Afaked, go back. The soldiers are leaving. They need you. Leave me alone. You don't need me. Leave me here. I don't want to be in this unit. Leave me here." So he looks at me, and he says, "Are you crazy or what? I'm going to leave you? You are my brother. That's what I taught you 6 months in Golani, that I will leave a soldier by himself in the field or leave a soldier behind? You are more than my brother." I didn't know what to say. I was shocked. And then he stood up. He gave me his hand. He shook I hold his hand, and he pushed me. He helped me to stand up, and we start running to the end of the line. Everyone waited for us, and because of this officer, I finished this Masa, this trip, and I stayed in Golani. Isn't that an amazing story? Now, this kid is 90 or 20 years old. He never learned anything about leadership. Well, he was in a leadership course because in the Badachad, they have some training, but he didn't know what I'm going to tell you now. He was born like that. We call it, in Hebrew, manigut me'atzevet, or manigut shanait. It's called in English, transformational leadership. This is transformational leadership. I give you another story which appeals more to teachers. One of the high managers of the IAI, the Israeli Tasiya Avirit, they build planes and airplanes. They have 70,000 people in this factory, and I was training the managers. And one of them, I asked him to choose, and he gave me this story. He was in 2nd grade. And in those days in Israel, they didn't know about HDD and taking pills. Kids were hyperactive. And I couldn't sit in my class, and all the teachers complained. And one day my parents came, and the principal of the school, and they want to put me in special education. Now, it's a special class, and if you go to this class, it's a stigma on you. Trust me, it's so hard to go out of them. You know, students like that, most of you are teachers. So my teacher came in, and I remember what she said. She said, I want to try again with Oded. I like him. I want him in my class. Let me try for 3 months. If he doesn't work, take him wherever you want. And that's what happened. What she did, I sat next to her. I became like the teacher's helper. Every day she came with a list, and I was running around. Go water the trees. Go bring me coffee. Oh, I forgot my chalk. She did it on purpose. Now I understand. Oh, I forgot my books there. Give me. So every 10 minutes, I had a mission. Every 10 minutes. And she told me, whenever I want to go out, I can go out. And I stayed in school. And because of this teacher, I became better. And I finished the Technion, which is a very high school in Israel for engineers. And I became a manager in this factory. And I must tell you that I'm very embarrassed. I never had a chance to thank her. So you know what he did the next week? He came so happy. He went home and he looked up her name and all over Haifa where he grew up. And he couldn't find, but he found the family. So he called about 20, the same family name, until he finds someone. He said, yes, it's my mom. Oh, thank God. Is she still alive? Yes, of course. She's in an old age home. Who needs her? And he told me, I was a student many years ago and I want to go to thank her. So this guy thought he's crazy. He wants to do something to his mother, you know, all his stories now. He said, what do you mean? After 45 years, you want to meet my mother? I mean, it's a little strange, don't you think? Yes, you have to understand. I was in this course and they asked me to bring someone who was really inspiration for me and I brought to my... So finally he agreed, but to take him to his mother, and I said, listen, she hardly remembers me, but if you want to come, only with me. He didn't trust it. He said, I came with the flowers, I bought her the flowers, I hold her the hand, and the guy told me, don't ask me, do you remember me? She doesn't remember anything. Say shalom, my name is this and this, I was your student or something like that, and that's it. And that's what he did. And he said, I'm so happy. And he thanked me for giving him a chance to thank his teachers. So you know many stories like that. We call it transformational leader. Now, I would ask Stephanie to show us in a slide, what are the 4 characteristics of this person? Please, Stephanie. First, okay, go. Okay, we call it personal attention. This person paid attention to you, an individual has made it. You can read it by yourself. I will send it to you, you will get it, okay? He or she understood your needs and paid attention to your feelings. Intellectual challenge. By the way, go on. It's not only intellectual. It's also, you know, sport teachers that push up a good young sportsman, okay? The third one is inspirational motivation. This person excited you to prompt you to push yourself because he, she, or she believed in your ability to achieve your goals and your ability to shape the future. And the fourth one is a role model. This person was a role model and a moral example to you to follow. Or he or she behaved constantly, honestly. Okay, so as you see, kids see exactly if you are honest or not. So these are the 4. Go on, let's go to the, okay. Who wants to read? Do we have a volunteer that can read, please? No volunteers? Stephanie?
I'll volunteer.
Oh yeah, please, please.
These characteristics are the hallmarks of transformational leadership, a term first used by Barnes and further refined by Bass and his colleagues at Binghamton University.
Okay. Now,
Do you want me to continue?
Yeah.
Transformational leadership prompts people to go above and beyond what is expected. It brings about changes in belief, worldview, and the values of the participant.
Okay, this is the recent, I mean, it started in the 70s and 80s to be implemented in schools, in the army, in factories, and it proved itself. So I think that every teacher, every educator, every parent should look at himself and to see what of the 4 characteristics applies to him. You know, if you're very good in personal attention, go with it. Some people don't know to challenge, you know. I speak to couples, so we do it also with parents, how to be transformational parents. If one of the parents is better in challenging the kids, you know, I remember my daughters, whenever they needed something, they came to me, not to their mother, because she was more strict, and thank God she was like that. So you have to speak about it with your spouses to see who can do one of these 4, because this is 100% it works. Okay, let's go on, please. Now the other type of leadership is transactional leadership, which relies on external motivations such as prizes, pay, grades, and the like, results also in achievement. Okay. The sergeant who came before the officer, he was a transactional. He wasn't transformational. He didn't try to come to the soldier. he came with punishment. If you don't do this, you don't get this. Now, it's a successful system, but people don't internalize what you teach them. After the test, they will forget everything. I ask, yes, you want to say something? Sumiko, you want to say something?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I was reading aloud.
Okay, go back to the transactional. Okay, so I'm not saying transactional teachers don't succeed. They succeed, but it's for a short term. The students will forget them. They will forget the materials. They learn just for the grade, to graduate. That's it. You remember what a transformational teacher taught you. Some of you choose the profession because of transformational teachers. Okay, now please go on. Transactional teachers. No, go back. I wanted to read. No, please. A transactional teacher leads his students to respectable accomplishments, meet expectation. A transformational teacher leads his student to develop a love to the subject, to continue to study and learn even after the test. That's it. Now, usually, as you know me, I always like to connect what we learn to the Jewish sources. I want to tell you a story that most of you know, or maybe all of you know. King David, I think it was his 50s, his officers told him, you can't join anymore the field as a fighter, because King David, according to Yigael Yadin, to research, those historian research, he was the first one who taught us what we call in Israel acharai. Acharai in Israel, in the army, they don't say kadima, go ahead, avante. No. They say acharai, follow me. The officers goes first, and there's a lot of argument every again and again when we lose very good officers because they go first. They don't send the swords first. But this was established by King David. So his officers tells him, his chief of staff, Avner, tells him, Yoav tells him, you can't go anymore. You have to stay home because you're old and the enemy will look for you. And this is very dangerous. So he agreed, he stays in Jerusalem. And if you come to Ir David, to the city of David, you can see his palace. It was above all the other buildings. And he looks out because he didn't like Jerusalem and the politics. He walks on the roof and he sees a beautiful woman. This was Bathsheba. And he tells his people, I want this woman. Now, this woman was married to one of his heroes, Uriah Hittite. And what happened, this woman get pregnant from King David. So they try to cover it. And they tell Uriah Hittite, go home, be with your wife. But he didn't want to be with his wife. Maybe he knew something, he understood something. Or what he said was, how come I'm going to be with my wife when all my soldiers are in the field, are fighting now? Look how the values he had, this person, not just he, all the officers in that time. So Uriah Hittite doesn't want to be with his wife. He goes back and they put him in a very dangerous place where he shouldn't be, and he was killed. And this was a very bad story. Now, this is the background to our story. Now, Nathan, now you can go, Stephanie. Okay. Nathan, the prophet, who is my hero, God sent him to speak to David. Now, you have to understand that prophet was the highest moral, I mean, the man is like a supreme judge and the chief rabbi together. So he comes to King David. Now, as you know, prophets, what would you expect him to say? Most of the people will say to speak hard to him, yes? Aren't you ashamed? How do you behave? Just to try what we call in Hebrew, latif musar, you know. But he decides to go in another way because he knew what happens when you speak hard to your kids or to your students. They don't want to listen. So he decided to go in a very smart way because I believe he was a transformation leader. Let's read the first chapter. Can you go on reading? And the Lord?
Yeah. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him, and he said unto him, there were two men in one city. One was rich, and the other poor. The rich man had exceedingly many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought.
Let's stop for a moment. Now, why do you think King David starts with his story? Nathan starts with a story and not trying to attack the king. What is a little kid in his stories? Why do you think he starts with a story? Because everyone loves stories, and everyone listens to stories. And I think King David believes it's a true story. He didn't know that Nathan tricks him. It's a mashal, it's a fable. Okay. So, yes?
Not only that, I think it's always the way you speak with somebody. You can say the same thing two different ways. And one way is going to win you brownie points. And the other way, they're not going, whoever you're talking to is not going to give you their full attention. They're not going to want, they would resent the way you spoke to them. There's an expression, you catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. And that's the same with this.
Yeah. Now, I agree. And, Anna Freud, the daughter of Freud, his daughter, she was, her field was defense mechanism. And she says, when you attack someone, instead of listening, you start to think, how does he defend himself? Okay? And you can't change anyone if you really if you attack him. So King Nathan knew it because David was important to him. You speak here to the leader of Israel. How do you call our city? Yerushalayim, Ir David, the city of David. How we call our national symbol? Magen David. Yes? According to our tradition, the Messiah should come, Mashiach ben David. So you come to such a man, and you don't just want to attack him like Jeremiah did in Isaiah, and to speak hard to him. You really want to bring to a change. And he knew if you want to change, you have to catch him. So please go on. But the poor man had
nothing save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and reared. And it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own morsel and drank of his own cup and lay in his bosom. And it was unto him as a daughter.
Now you have to understand, he took a lamb because King David was a shepherd. And he knew exactly that the story will arise his feelings. If you want to do something with someone, to have an influence in him, you can't use the intellectual, the seichel, the mind. You have to go to feelings. Okay? So look, I say, not just a lamb, a little lamb, like which he had bought and reared, and it grew up together with him, you know, like it became like a child for him. Yes, it became like his daughter. And now the anticlimax. Go on, please, Stephanie.
And there came a traveler unto the rich man,
Please
and he
go.
spared to
And then
take of his.
Yes, Kay, can you read?
I'm sorry, what? Did you want me to continue?
Yeah, read it, please.
Okay, he spared to take of his own flock and his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was to come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that has done this deserves to die.
It's unbelievable. The Tanakh in Hebrew used the word anger, and not a regular. In the Tanakh, there's 3 levels of anger. There's kahas, which is anger, zam, which is furious, and charon af. It's like it blows us from your nose. The Bible uses charon af, which is the highest level. David was furious. And look what he says. This man has to die. What do you mean? He made some shawarma or steaks, and this is a reason to kill a man? He understood, King David, you lost it. And then, go on, please. And then he corrects himself.
And he shall restore.
Yes, go.
And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity.
Okay. This is the halacha, by the way. The Jewish law tells if you steal something from someone and you give it back, you have to give kaful. Let's say I took 100 shekels, I have to give 200 shekels. But if you killed an animal, you have to give 4 times. Why? Because you hurt his feelings. And here, the samech, the S here, is parasha zgura, is closed. Why is it closed? Because the Tanakh, this is a hint that something is happening in the room. I believe that King Nathan sits like, he looks at the king, he says, what do you say? And he looks at him, and I believe that King David understood that he was trapped. That's why after he understood what he did, Nathan can say what he said. Go to the next paragraph, please. And Nathan said to David, please read.
And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thus
Again,
saith the Lord.
No, closed again. It's closed. The Tanakh tells us, wait a little, because I guess David said, oh my God, what did I do? This sign, yes, tells us that something is happening in the room. Please go on.
Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul.
Go on. Stephanie, go on.
And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives unto thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that were too little, then would I add unto thee so much more? Wherefore hast thou despised the word of the Lord, and do thou which is evil in my sight? Uriah the Hittite thou hast smitten with the sword, and his wife thou hast taken to be thy wife, and him thou hast slain with the sword of the children of Ammon.
Now, some people tell me maybe Nathan was afraid of David, that's why he didn't speak hard to him. But what he tells him here, no one dared to talk to a king like that, as far as I'm concerned, in the Tanakh, in the Bible. And this is amazing, because after the person understands what he did, and he saw his face, this I believe so, he can now speak hard to him. And look at David's reaction. Go to the next one, please.
Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house, because thou hast despised me, and has taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus says the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son.
Okay, by the way, if you know, if you know the history of King David, since this situation, his son, Absalom, wanted to kill him, and he had to run from his home. He had to leave the palace. Two of his children, Amnon and Tamar, had relations, sexual relations in his home. Well, they weren't from the same mother, but still. And all his life became miserable after this situation. And look what David says in the end. Go to the next one.
And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord.
That's it. It takes us.
Dr. Leibovich, Simcha, we have 5 minutes left, so just taking your question.
Yeah. In the next 5 minutes, that's exactly, he took responsibility because the way a transformational leader presented it. So I have a proof that King David took it seriously. And he didn't just say, you know, like sometimes the kids, sorry, it's last time, I'm not going to do it again. So some people tell, maybe he said, sorry, I sinned to God, and that's it. No. Let's go to the second source in Tehillim, Psalm chapter 51. Read
To
it,
the
please.
leader of Psalm of David, when Nathan the prophet came unto him after he had gone to Bathsheba, be gracious unto me, O God, according to your mercy, according to the multitude of thy compassions, blot out my transgressions.
Go on. Please, Stephanie.
Wash me
Yeah.
thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I know my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done that which is evil in thy sight, that thou mayest be justified when thou speakest, and be the right when thou judgest. Be in the right, sorry.
Yes, go to the next one.
Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts. Make me, therefore, to know wisdom in mine inmost heart. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
Okay, I will stop here because we are very short in time. You see, this psalm, King David speaks from his bottom of his heart. Since this horrible situation or this accident that he had, he wrote Psalm and it changed all his attitude. He became a total different person. And you know, the rabbis believed in him. If you read this Psalm in Hebrew, many of our tefillot, of our prayers, daily prayers, go to the next one, Stephanie. Left Brali. This comes from Slichot. We say it, God, I need a new heart. This comes from, go to the next one, please. Show us the, okay. Al tashlicheni milfanecha. This is again from Slichot. You see? Don't throw me away when I'm old, okay? Go the end. Another one. Hashem sfatai tiftach upi yagid tilatecha. Oh Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall declare thy praise. Declare thy praise. What you
that's
can
the introduction to the Amidah.
Exactly. It's exactly the introduction to Amidah. And because the rabbis believed in the Rambam, Maimonides tells us that King David taught us that the first thing you have to do if you want to change your manners, you have to admit. It's called vidui. You have to agree that you had sinned. If you don't agree to your problem, you will never change. And that's why this is my proof that King David really changed after this amazing presentation of a transformational leader like Natan. And if you want to change your kids and to be meaningful, you have to use these 4 things, those things that you feel that are close to you. Okay? So Purim Sameach and B'atzlacha to all of you. And I hope your students will remember you as transformational leaders.
Thank you,
Okay.
Simcha.
Maybe take the opportunity, Simcha, for Q&A or for any comment that they have before Stephanie will close it, okay?
Okay.
The stage is
I just
yours.
have one comment to say, that I thought that murder was the only sin you cannot atone for. And why was King David's atonement accepted?
Why what? Say it again.
In other words, the way I understand it, murder is the only sin you cannot atone for because you can't make up for it. You
But
can't
this
do
was-
complete shuvah for murder.
Yeah, this was murder. This was murder. David was, you see, Natan corrected his word. He didn't kill him. And not the soldiers. They caused it. It's horrible. It's not. I'm not trying to justify it, but the tshuva of Natan of David was that he took someone else's wife, and he caused such a trouble. And that's what this was his tshuva. Okay, anyone else?
I think that the punishment was too harsh to take off the kingdom from David's son because of this. This was very,
Yes.
this really influenced all our Jewish histories.
Yes,
The kingdom of Judea and the kingdom of Israel.
I agree. Unfortunately, I agree.
Yeah, and they said that we are, the Jewish are from Yehuda and Benjamin. So where
Yeah.
the other Jews from the
Yeah.
other kingdom?
The 10 tribes, we don't know where they are.
No.
Okay. Anyway, have a happy Purim, and I was really delighted to be with you guys, and thank you for coming to this meeting.
So
Toda
glad to
rabah.
meet you.